I wanted to make a brief video talking about exercise intensity and how it relates to this program because it's probably the number one thing that I'm worried that people aren't going to get correctly. And if you don't get your intensity correctly, you're either going to overtrain or undertrain, so, not great. So the main way that I've helped you guys regulate your loads and your intensity for this routine is using RPE, or rate of perceived exertion. It's a scale that goes from 1 to 10, 10 being your absolute 1 rep max, or you're just at failure. You cannot do any more repetitions no matter how hard you try. RPE 9.5 is I can maybe do one more repetition, and RPE 9 is I could definitely do one more repetition. RPE 8.5 maybe 2, RPE 8 definitely 2, RPE 7 definitely 3, etc. So you'll notice for a lot of the lifts that I do, especially the lower body and heavy upper body exercises, I'm keeping you guys around RPE 7 to RPE 8, meaning that I'm not bringing you all the way to failure, but you need to be fairly close to it. For some of the single joint exercises, you'll notice that I do actually bring you to failure, and I'll often say go to failure at a place above, let's say, 12 repetitions. But how do you actually know that you're getting close to failure anyways? Or how can you use RPE as a really effective system? Well, I've actually gone through 3 different exercises, and you guys can see my RPE throughout each one. One of them I do go to true failure. It's a leg extension that I literally go until I cannot do anymore. The second one is a shoulder press where I go to RPE 8.5. I could maybe do 2 more, but I'm not quite certain. And the last one I'll do is a trap bar deadlift where I kind of go to RPE 7. It's a speed-based exercise at that point though, so my loads might not be super high, but I'm managing my RPE around a different parameter, which is those speed-based things. This set of leg extensions goes all the way to failure, or RPE 10, meaning that I could not have done any more good repetitions beyond the point that I stopped in this video. Now, the main things that you'll see from watching this is that my speed really starts to decrease as my set wears on. As I'm getting more and more tired and my inner monologue is telling me to stop, the reps are barely grinding up, my form is kind of starting to break down, and it's becoming a very unpleasant experience for me. That's how I know that I'm really getting as close to failure as possible. This is the type of intensity that I need you guys to get to when I'm asking you guys to go to failure. So any of your accessories or, anything like that towards the end of the workout that I say to go to failure, this is how hard I need you guys to be working to really make the most of it. This set of shoulder press goes to RPE 8.5, meaning that I maybe had 2 more repetitions left in the tank at the end of this set. Honestly, on a bad day, this probably would have been RPE 9. It was fairly close to either. Now, how do I know how hard I'm actually working in my set? Well, it's similar to the leg extensions. My reps really start to slow down as the set goes on. I'm also noticing that my form starts to break a little bit too. It's harder for me to control the weights, and I'm really starting to kind of overextend my back to get these up. So those are my 2 main signs that I really push this intensity where it needed to be for this set. This set of trap bar deadlifts ends at RPE 7, meaning that I had 3 repetitions left in the tank at this speed. The purpose of this exercise was mainly speed focused, so I could have went heavier, but then it would have defeated the purpose of what I was trying to work on. So how do you actually use RPE? The 3 main things that I want you guys to pay attention to in this order are going to be repetition speed, exercise technique, and then listening to your inner monologue about how difficult things are. Now, speed is probably number 1, and you'll notice that a lot of things in this program are actually based around a fast contraction. When your repetition speed starts to really go down into the toilet, that's how you know you're definitely getting close to failure. So let's say when you're looking at the video of me doing my shoulder press there, you'll notice that the first few repetitions, they move fairly, smoothly at that weight, and then gradually they start to slow down until the one that I stop at is really a bit of a grind. That's how I know I was getting very close to my true failure point, as I was trying to push as hard and as fast as possible, but no matter my best efforts, still wasn't going up quite as quickly as it was at the start. So paying attention to your rep speed is very important for both this program, but also regulating your intensity. Second thing is going to be your exercise technique. As your intensity or your fatigue goes up, you'll tend to notice that it's a little bit harder to pay attention to your technique adequately. You might start rushing through some of the repetitions. So let's say on your shoulder press, you really just let it slap you down very quickly, or on your squat, you don't control the descent very well. You just kind of plop there. Probably getting fairly close to failure. Now, the final thing that I do want you to think about is going to be, what is your inner monologue telling you? This can be a little bit tricky because our brains will lie to us and will generally want us to stop way before we actually should stop from an exercise intensity perspective. The reason why is fairly obvious. Exercise is a construct that we made, and it's not something that is, fundamental to our survival. And your brain doesn't really like to waste a lot of calories or energy on things that it doesn't deem as completely essential to it, which unfortunately exercise is not. That being said, if all you do is listen to your inner monologue like, oh God, this is really hard, I should stop, chances are you're really going to undertrain. And that's what we tend to really consistently see in people that are, surveyed using an RPE based approach. They tend to stop well short of their recorded RPE. They tend to go way underneath it. So in the order of importance, again, it is repetition speed. When that really starts to slow down, getting close to failure. Exercise technique. If that really starts to go down in quality and you're really struggling to maintain it, probably close to failure. Number 3, listening to what your inner monologue says. If it's saying that you're fairly close to failure and the other 2 things are kind of getting ticked off as well, like God is slow and it's kind of getting sloppy, chances are you're probably right. But if your technique looks perfect the whole time, doesn't necessarily mean that you're absolutely at failure. If your inner monologue is telling you that you're close to failure, but all your reps are fast and your form is great, you might not be close to failure. So speed, for me, is the number 1 most important thing that I want you guys to regulate here.